Good evening. We would like to welcome everyone to our Bountiful City Council work session prior to our regular meeting. So welcome. It is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024, and we will be starting off with a trail naming discussion. So Ms. Amber Corbridge, if you would help introduce this item. Thanks.
Yes, of course. Good evening. So as a background, the council did review our trail naming on August 13th of this year and gave general consent on adopting trail names, except for Trail 304/305. And you can see it on that map. 304, you can't see it, but it's that one where Todd's pointing. So it's a continuous downhill trail. It's a mountain bike trail. And so we're here to discuss that tonight. Also, we have a few recommendations for minor trail name changes, and we'll cover those now. The first is we have a name for Summerwood Sunset Trail. We're wanting it to just be Sunset. The reason for this proposed change is to reduce the number of syllables in the name. This is a little more simple, and to reduce any confusion with the Hidden Lakes trailhead. So we felt Sunset was a better name for that trail. And you can see it there where Todd's pointing. And then the other change that we're proposing is the Bring It Home Trail, which is where the word Hornet is on the map. So it's from the bridge at the bottom of 305, right there where the arrow is, and then it's to where about Maple Syrup intersects. So we're thinking of just naming this trail segment Hornet, just to be continuous with the rest of the trail name. So we're getting rid of Bring It Home. And so those are two of our proposed changes. And then we are requesting direction from the council to name Trail 304, 305 tonight. Just a note that I want to make is that the United States Forest Service has the final decision of the trails on their property. So just keep that in mind. We would submit these to them for final approval. So any questions about any of these items?
That's a great explanation. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor, I do have one question, if I could ask.
Sure.
Have there been any names that have been submitted to the Forest Service that have been rejected?
No.
Thank you.
Not yet. We've been discussing these names with them as we meet with them regularly. We'll say, oh, we're naming this one Peregrine, and they don't say anything, but we haven't officially submitted them for review.
So not only have they never rejected any names, they've never approved any names.
Right.
Okay. Thanks for the whole picture.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with the names that you were requesting that we make minor changes. Council, any questions or concerns with those recommendations from staff?
Mayor, can I just add a little bit of color commentary?
Sure.
I am waiting to discover where the hidden lakes are at Hidden Lake. I get asked that a lot. I haven't found them.
They're hidden.
Yeah, they're so hidden. Yeah, but I do think it makes sense to shorten that name. Hornet earned its name suggestion because of the many wasp nests in ground shrubbery. Several of our Trails Committee in assisting IMBA in trail design stumbled into them during early flagging and ended up being stung. I had the opportunity when helping with Brock and the Parks Department on a weed mitigation day where the trail still was flagged only of being up in that area and stopped, mere millimeters from walking right into also a ground hornet's nest. So it has earned its name because they are up there. I did and still love, and maybe we could use somewhere else the name Bring It Home, but I do think it made a lot of sense that it broke that trail into, we were being too cute in too many segments. It's just a little bit hard to have that many names on a segment. And so Hornet is definitely the one that's been sticking in the community because of the feature of those ground hornet's nests. And so if you ever go help Brock and team with weed mitigation, watch out.
Take your EpiPen.
That's fair warning. That's good. Thank you. Okay, well, that is helpful. Any other questions or
Last time I got stung by my own bees.
concerns or ideas about the proposed changes from staff? Okay, so the council is comfortable and good with the changes as recommended by staff?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. And now let's talk about 304, 305. So I know that we had a few names recommended and that we'd been considering. And let's discuss, one name that I really liked that was one of the recommendations was Bellwether. And what I loved about that name was that the meaning of it is one who leads out. And so I liked the idea of recognizing the founders of our Trails Committee, the people who have done so much, that have served on our Trails Committee, having them be identified as bellwethers, those who have led out and who have done so much work for our trails. But I'd love to hear other ideas from the council, and let's discuss.
Mayor, at the risk of offering additional color commentary, I had the opportunity to ride 305 this morning, and I was lucky to be joined by some guests. Lincoln and Logan Bell joined on what I'm calling, and for absence purposes, will be known as an official city recon trip to check out the new trail since it was opened. And I know that Councilman Murray has also had the opportunity to get up there since it's opened, and I hope everyone will take an opportunity to get up there. It's a beautiful trail. It is in a deeply forested part of Mueller Park Canyon. As you are at Elephant Rock at the new trail hub and you take the first turn down into the trail, you really drop into some of the biggest pines and trees that I think we have in Mueller Park Canyon. It feels really dark and shady, almost, in my opinion, rivaling the Christmas tree farm for how densely forested it feels. And that felt to me is obviously something that our colleague Jesse, in his love of trees, would have really appreciated as it drops in. It's very flowy feel. I did ask for cool words to describe the trail, and I think it hits and flowy were the best descriptors that I got for the vibe check on the trail this morning. This trail, we also had an opportunity, we ran into a hiker at the very top who wanted to know what was happening with this particular hub, where all these new trails went. And seemed to really appreciate the explanation of the fact that we had played leapfrog on the way up the trail, but we would not be dogging the hills of this hiker on the way down because, as intended, as the vision and the hard work of the Trails Committee was to separate the downhill traffic from bikers and the other traffic coming up the canyon, and that's really changes the experience for everyone on that trail. Everyone can have the experience they're hoping for by separating that uphill and downhill traffic. And I think that has been one of the most important rallying reasons for our community support for this, was to change that experience in Mueller Park Canyon, because Mueller Park is such an important extended backyard for our community. So it's been a long time in getting this particular one. I mean, other things have finished and come online faster than this one, but this trail, in my opinion, was always kind of the linchpin to the plan and the reason that got everything launched. So it was a great opportunity. I've already pitching our new colleague on an e-bike ride to get up there, and hope that the rest of you will come join, because I think it will really be a tribute, based on the way it's designed and the way it's so deeply forested.
Thanks. What other thoughts do we have about a name?
I'm not sold on one in particular, but for me, Bellissimo still comes out as the word to yell after successfully making it down that trail. I don't recall all the trees because I was more focused on not going off the trail. It's been a while since I'd gone mountain biking, but I learned a lot about the importance of dropping your seat when going over the bumps, because you almost could go over the front handlebars. So, but yeah, it's awesome. It was really cool to go and do that and run into some friends that were up there as well. They had already been down several times that day, so I just followed along and tried to keep up with them. So.
That's great. Yeah, thanks, Matt and Kate are, resident cyclists, but I know that others of you too, well, you are a hiker, you're an avid, so many of us have had the opportunity to get up there, and that does help inform, what your thoughts are about what we would want to name this. And of course, we're thinking about Jesse and the Trails Committee as well, and ways to honor them. So I'd love to hear any other input you may have about this trail name.
I did have, as we were writing and talking after this morning, I think the team element is really important to the Bell family, that they have felt like they were a part of Team Bountiful. They were part of this community, that their husband and father was definitely a visionary and leader in this effort, but it was a team effort, and they've wanted to make sure that was recognized. And so to me, it does speak to, and they definitely spoke to today, that desire to wrap in the community. Bell and Co., I think, is one that they have felt like gave that more than a nod to Jesse, but also wrapped in the community and the rest of the Trails team. And so I think that is definitely a top contender to have Bell and Co. be one of them. I think inserting the and, like an and sign in there, helps, pull it together, that it would be a nod and an honor to our friend Jesse, and insist, as Jesse would insist, that we pull the community in to share that credit as well.
What other thoughts do you have, council members?
Well, I just feel like I'm going to be concurring with what everybody else has said. I'm really grateful to the Trails Committee for the intentional forethought and work over so many years on the trails and on the naming of the trails. And it is a real privilege here today to be able to, as the council, select a name on 304 and 305 that is intentional, as our friend and former council member Jesse used to always, I think that was one of his favorite words, being intentional and planning and making things have a meaning and a purpose. And so I love the intention of all of these proposed names, and that a couple of them, Bellwether and Bell & Co., really are a tip of the hat to our Trails Committee and to the many people who have engaged with this process. Well, actually, when I say many, it's really not that many. It's a pretty elite small group, isn't it, of highly committed, amazing people. And Jesse really was a leader there, and a bellwether, and it did take a whole company of people. So I would prefer one of these names because I think they allow the kind of additional recognition, and I'm, inclined to go with the one that the Bell family feels, kind of most strongly about, because we are honoring their dad and husband and our former colleague and friend. So I would support Bell and Company, Bell and Co.
Thank you. Cammie, I hate to put you on the spot, and it's fine if you would or would not like to make any comments, but I'm just wondering if you, representing your family, would like to speak to if you have a preference that your family would like to see when we're considering this naming. If you don't mind coming to the mic.
I was not planning on this. I appreciate all of you. Your willingness to honor Jesse this way means so much to our family, that there will be his legacy in a name on the mountain that he loved, that goes through the trees that he loved, and that brings our community together. And that was, thank you, that was his goal, and his vision for that is to get everyone there and rubbing shoulders and talking to each other, and healthier by enjoying the fresh air and being on the mountain together. And anytime the trails were brought up, he was adamant that it was not him, that it was a committee, that it took everyone's efforts and strengths coming together, that he could not have done it. And so I do feel like Bell & Co. honors the whole committee as well as Jesse, and we just so appreciate this honor. So thanks.
Thank you. Any other discussion, or we don't need an official motion, but just wanted to make sure if there is direction, we can give that to staff at this time. Any other comments or questions?
Mayor, I'm really comfortable with all of the recommendations that have come in, that small list that we've been pondering and hearing from council members and from Cammie Bell. Happy to support that name.
Great. Okay. Well, good. So we'll proceed with that name and
Bell
Bell & Co.
How do we want it spelled out, though, so we make sure to get that right?
Do you have a thought on that, Kate? Councilwoman Bradshaw?
I spent maybe all of 5 minutes thinking about how it would look on a sign, so that people would get it, but also recognizing that the trail signs are like this wide and the name is like this big. The
We
sticker
did
on there is
fit
this big.
Peregrine on one, though.
Yeah.
So that's,
So they're not very big signs. Obviously, we'll have bigger maps at the trailheads at some point, but the sticker is small on those little posts that go up. I think if we wanted to make sure that we captured Bell and the community, the company of people that Jesse helped lead to do it, I would propose throwing in an and sign. I would not spell out the and. I would just, if we could throw in an and sign, I think then you get that it's Bell & Co. But I don't know that I'm not going to die on this grammar. Like, it was 5 seconds of thinking about it and thinking about the size of the stickers that go on the trail signs.
Does that sound good?
I concur.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
So is that the direction that you were hoping for?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
That's great.
Okay, really appreciate your help, Amber, and thank you, Brock, and everyone involved. We'll now move to pick up our conversation about the general plan update. We'll turn the time over to Francisco Astorga.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Oh, I went to my other monitor. There it is.
Which page are we starting on?
We're going to start on page 5, but this is just an intro. A green 5. So the purpose of this work session is to continue the work on our comprehensive general plan update, and is to wrap up the existing conditions report. As indicated on the staff report, which starts on page 7, just a quick reminder, we want to, in order for us to remain focused through this remaining section, we would like you to keep these 3 questions in mind, which is, we printed that and wrote that on page 7. Does the written description generally describe the existing conditions adequately? Do the related charts, graphs, or maps help clarify the text? And is there any additional information that should be included? We've received lots of comments regarding consistency, regarding all of the graphs and charts. So we will incorporate all those. So you don't need to focus on that, but we haven't forgotten all of the other comments. So starting now, I'm going to bring up, here we go, the actual document. We started the transportation part last time. We got to the annual average daily traffic, where I do recall our city engineer provided great comments regarding how that data is accumulated by different agencies. And if you look on your staff report, Exhibit 5 with the green square, this is where we left off last time from October 22nd. So we would like to continue this discussion so we can move on to the next item.
Thanks, and I really appreciate those 3 questions. Hopefully that can kind of help us stay on track and not get into the weeds as much. So that sounds great.
So, and we added the entire transportation section just to give you some context, so you know what this section is about. So, picking it off where we left off, we have this exhibit regarding collisions. I can bore everyone and read everything that we've written so far, or we could just focus on what we've done in the past, and we go over every section one at a time and in chronological order of how the report has been produced so far. And I just need to stand up so I can zoom in a little more so I can have a better vision of what we've got in front of us. Sorry, my monitor is not duplicated here, so I have to. I think that's good for all of us.
I don't think you need to read through it unless council members would like that. I think we can just go through each section, and if there's any questions at that section, then we can answer those questions.
This is a curiosity question. I've been dying to know what holiday-related car accidents are. And which holiday? All of them?
I think
Is Easter a real driver of holiday-related accidents?
I think that's a really good question. If I need to really find out the answer, I'll spend some time. I don't have that answer.
Don't spend too much time on it, but a lot of the other categories made a lot of sense, and I just indulged in some speculation about which holidays I think would lead to more crashes.
I also had a question about older driver. I was wondering what age group, what is considered older?
Same comment that I had before. I won't spend too much time, but I'll see what I can find. I don't think that you want that clarified in the document. This is more for our knowledge. Is that correct?
It's just an interesting category, older driver, but
It would be, I mean, if it wasn't going to be hard for you to change, to add to the graphic, if an older driver, just for the sake of argument, was someone 65 plus, it might be nice if just, it said 65 plus.
In parentheses or something.
And, because, 65 is the new 45, so maybe it's not that age, maybe it's older.
I've heard people in their 50s are the youngest of the old people.
Someone
So
told me
I
that
want to
recently.
know that this is not people in their 50s.
I vote we just leave it vague as older driver.
So any other questions regarding this first paragraph and exhibit?
no.
We're going to move on to the next one. This is share of collision injury severity. I'm going to keep going then.
Okay, okay, so we're following along, we're now in the section where we're talking about,
This is intersections with high rates of collision.
okay, thank you. Okay,
Could I just ask a really quick question, Lloyd? Sorry, Lloyd, I'm putting you on the spot. But as a former member of the Traffic Safety Committee, I'm wondering, do we use this same data when we're talking about, that comes from the Public Safety Crash Portal, or when we do our analysis each year?
The data that we use is report data from our police department. So I have an employee that sifts through all of the reportable accidents, and we distill down, to every intersection or even location between intersections where those accidents are. So no, we don't track everything that's tracked through the state's website. We're just reportables that Bountiful Police responds to.
Okay.
thank you. That's helpful. So our data is primarily from the Bountiful Police. Thanks. Okay,
My only comment is if we couldn't get a darker road image of this, if that's how it is, it's almost not worth putting this image. It would be hard. I guess you can make out the hospital and Woods Cross area, but
I agree. Like, when we're looking at, does this add clarity? It's one of our 3 things. Does it help clarify? Yeah. I'm not sure this does. I think it's
The little light.
very hard to read. It's hard to
Visually
see the
light.
numbers, what they are, where they are. I don't believe this adds clarity.
okay.
Do you think that's just a matter of our ability to change the way it's printed? Or do we need to just ask our consultants for another graph?
We could go back to the website ourselves first, see if we could play around with the colors, and then if that doesn't work, we can go back and see what they can provide.
Okay,
I think that would be more appropriate, most appropriate.
okay, thank you. So request for a darker map if possible. Okay, and then moving on.
I have one other question.
Sure.
So this is our current conditions. We're saying this is our crash data, and these are the spots that we've had crashes in Bountiful. It would certainly be informative if we're looking at current conditions to know if this has changed over time. Is Fifth West and Fifth South, has it always been our problem child, or has it grown to be a problem child? Or, some of the other big spots. If there was, something where we've called out these particular intersections. I don't know if there's another chart we could add where you could break it down by decades and just see if they've been consistent problems or if we've made improvements with past changes or past general plans, or if we've gone the opposite direction and they ought to inform other parts of the plan that are more forward-looking.
I can maybe make a comment to help clarify that. So all of the major signalized intersections I'm going to call it in the lower part of town, those are your hot spots. Those are where you're going to get the majority of your accidents. And the main intersections, those are always the highest numbers of accidents. 5th South, 5th West. 5th West, 4th North. 4th North, Main Street. 4th North, 200 West. It's just kind of that lower core group of intersections that's always the highest, which makes sense because that's where the highest volumes of traffic are. Once you get above Orchard Drive, the traffic volumes go down so low, we have accidents here and there, but we really don't have the numbers of accidents that we have